I worship at the altar of me, and I want you to feel safe to worship at the altar of you too. Just hear me out with this. It will change your life and your perspective on so many different things that you have been conditioned to believe are normal, that are not normal, and are sucking the joy out of your life. Hello, welcome to Yarok Academy of Healing, Expanding, Spiritually Transforming, and Mastering Energetics. My name is Yarok, leadership mentor, nervous system genius, clinically trained therapist, and all-around energetic sorceress, which literally just means I'm a master of energetics. And this is Aslan, my sweet cat. He's a sweet old man, and I just don't have the heart to kick him out while I'm recording the video. So he's going to be in it with us, and he loves to be involved. We have been conditioned to worship at the altar of everything outside of ourselves. This could be religion, goddesses, ritual, astrology, Akashic records, tarot readings, the NFL, TV characters, books, movies, your friends, your family, Taylor Swift. I think she's a great example because as much as I adore her and I love Swifties, she has this air about her that is of a marketing genius nature, which I posted an entire video about. And marketing geniuses want you to give them their energy. And while she has really beautiful intentions, it still takes you away from you because you're pedestaling someone else. And so often in our lives, we're either pedestaling someone else or pedestaling ourselves, and we have not been taught how to claim our power, worship at the altar of yourself, and to actually become who you're meant to be. I actually had a client message me yesterday because I wrote a post about this on Instagram, and she said, at my work, they call it servant leadership, like with pride. There is nothing prideful about that. So we have been conditioned that if you're only a good person if you're coming from pure altruistic service. Now let me tell you the problems with that is that people then suffer financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually because they have not done the work to allow themselves to be dripping with the most radiant golden light. And now take a look around our world. It's actually making me teary because people will think you're selfish if you allow yourself to feel good, especially in a time when everybody's feeling shitty. And everybody's feeling shitty because we've all been taught to not come into relationship with ourselves. When I was 19 years old, I downloaded enlightenment on the dance floor of a rave. Embodying enlightenment and holding enlightenment are very different things. So don't get it twisted that I'm like, oh, I was enlightened and then all was well when I was 19, which was 27 years ago. That's not how that went. I downloaded enlightenment for a moment and was like, oh, everything is connected. Connection is everything. And it all comes back to connection to self. And I knew it, the truth. That is the most simplistic truth there is. We complicate it. We don't know how to stay with it. And we don't know how to be on our own journey and to fall in love with our journey. That's an entirely other video. And it starts with, are you able to worship the altar of you? And when I say worship the altar of you, this is not about some egotistic, like pedestaling, like I'm better than kind of vibe. Because my loves, your soul does not give a fuck about your ego's standards. Now, when I say that, what I mean is there's a lot of rhetoric online of like, I manifested my life and now I have this perfect partner and I look perfect and my clothes are perfect and my body's perfect and my hair is perfect and everything is fucking perfect. That's not living. And I don't feel any Eros energy in that way of being. So if you are someone who is presenting in that way and you're presenting as oh, everything is perfect, let me tell you, that person's not living in joy. And if it's you, you're not living in joy. You might tell me you're living in joy, but I will tell you otherwise based on your energetic vibration. And one of my key indicators of joy is how wild and messy can you be? Because if you can't be wild and messy, you can't experience joy because joy is a messy emotion. Quote me on that. Write that down. If you can't be wild and messy, you can't experience joy because joy is a messy emotion. Why is joy a messy emotion? Because it's going to ask you to expand past what feels comfortable to the rigid little box you've put yourself in. And so we have got it all twisted and fucked up in our brains that we think that that way of being is what it looks like to worship the altar of you. And it does not. Worshipping the altar of you is actually coming into relationship with all parts of you. The good, the bad, the ugly, the raw, the messy, the shameful, the gross, because we all have gross parts. And you have to bring them all forward from the unconscious. So they're all here together. And you have to love them and see them and hold them and integrate them without rejecting or resisting any part of you. And then allow yourself to be the golden, radiant, beautiful, magnetic being that you are meant to be in this world. I got scared I didn't press record. Because if you can't come into relationship with all parts of you, then you're going to be hiding parts of you. You're going to be performative and presenting this certain way of being that's false, that is meant to show people a certain part of you that's not authentic. And you're going to know it, and your soul is going to scream at you about it, and you're going to want to hide these parts of you that you don't think are acceptable. And then you're always going to feel like you're performing. And I want you to feel free. And so, worshiping at the altar of you means allowing all parts of you to come forward, especially the messy, raw, and wild ones. And I am a genius at allowing people to feel safe with their messy and wild parts. Because just because you have messy and wild parts doesn't mean that they take the reins and you're off into the wild journey. Sometimes, and sometimes you might need that. And that's why it's important to have a guide, a spiritual guide who can see all parts of you, who can hold you through your messy, fucked up journey and bring you back to yourself so that you can come more integrated into wholeness and you can have more power over those messy and wild parts. But sometimes, especially if they've been repressed forever, you might need to just let the wild hair set you free for a little bit and have a bit of a wild journey. I have definitely had clients where it's like, okay, we're on a ride right now. And then they eventually come to a place where they're like, holy shit, what have I been doing? And then we get to look at all of the pieces that they needed to look at from that journey. And then we bring them into wholeness. And then we come into a little bit of a chrysalis and a cocoon to let it integrate. And then we start to actually emerge into the world again. Having a guide, a spiritual guide, which is what I am at my core. Yes, I'm a clinically trained therapist. Yes, I'm a healer. Yes, I'm a spiritual teacher. Yes, I am a nervous system genius, and I'm going to guide you to embody your pleasure and leadership in its purest form. Ultimately, I'm a spiritual guide. My life has been dedicated to being on a spiritual journey, because being on a spiritual journey is not just about, oh, and now I'm so spiritual and look at how spiritual I am. That's a bunch of horseshit. It's about actually being in connection with the divine, with the universe, with everything, and being able to trust your initiations, your thresholds, your lessons. And I have been through trial by fire over and over and over and over and over and over, and I have alchemized it into gold. And that is what I help you do also. And I'm a literal genius at it, truly. And it will set you free, and you will feel free to actually feel effervescent joy through your being. So none of this bullshit, curated, perfectionistic crap that we are seeing as, and now I do my perfect 5-minute routine every morning, and then I do this, and then I do this. Like, yeah, sure, I have my rituals. I meditate and chant every morning. I pour radiant golden light into my being. I have a relationship with my highest self, and she and I communicate every day, sometimes all day, depending on where I'm at and how much holding I need. I have a nighttime routine. Sometimes it's a little spicy, because if you're not allowing yourself to get fucked, or you're not fucking yourself, you are repressing yourself. You don't have to have another person to get fucked well. That is a fact, and we forget that in life. We give other people too much power. This is about worshiping at the altar of you. So envision what that looks like honey dripped beauty. And also looking at all the dark, gross parts that you don't want to look at. Looking at your ways you people please, or you obsess, or you ruminate, or you seek saving, or you abdicate your power to other people, or you give too much power to someone who you're dating or someone who you want to date, or to having this vision of your life that you think is going to fix everything, or Big Daddy God in the sky, or Jesus, or Mary Magdalene, or Isis, or Hathor, anything outside of you. All of those things are just meant to be showing you parts of you. Like your literal mission on this planet is to become you. and then to give your unique blueprint back to the world. That's it. Become you, and then whatever you're meant to do on this planet, give it back to the world. That's all you're supposed to do. And yet, here we are, abdicating our power, obsessing about other people, pedestaling other things, ruminating about how things should be, instead of anchoring into our energetic vibration, the power that we have innately within our being, getting to know all parts of us, and then taking action forward, allowing ourselves to just be us. Like, you're literally meant to just be you. That's what it means to worship the altar of you, to trust you, to trust your inner knowings. Now, it's difficult because you're deeply conditioned with trauma, beliefs, old ways of being, ancestral trauma, karmic trauma, spiritual trauma, childhood trauma, the patterns through which your nervous system knows safety, you think are normal. It's normal to people please. It's normal to be quote unquote selfless. It's not okay to be quote unquote selfish. And so you think nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, being with yourself is selfish. You don't realize that it's actually the most selfless thing in the world to become you, so that you can give from pure open heart. Because when you're giving with unconscious resentment and bitterness and frustration, or if you're giving to receive, you're creating more contracted energy in the world. You're creating more scarcity energy in the world. You're creating more fear. You're creating more attachment energy. Because when you're doing something to get something, doing to get, doing to get, doing to get. I recently had a client who admitted to me, I am trying to be, like, to just be in my body, just be, just trust, so that I can get. And we realized she was being to do. And then we were like, oh, that's not the vibe, right? Like, we want to be able to just fucking land in your body, to literally just be. And we are conditioned to do, to hustle, to achieve, to let it look a certain way. We're not taught to just be and revel in the magic of who we are, or tend to the parts of us that need tending to, or be with the emotions that we need to be with, so that we can actually create. And in creating, we receive. It's not being to do, it's not being to get, it's being to be, and then creating, and then you receive. And it's energetically cyclical. And you literally can't do that if you're worshiping the altar of someone else. If you're worshiping the altar of a business coach, of someone who tells you that you're going to make all this money, and then you're trying to fixate and be perfect and do the things, and it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. You're banging your head against a wall. Or if I just climb the corporate ladder, everything's going to be fixed. Or if I just have the husband, everything's going to be fixed. Or if I just have the perfect wife, or the perfect girlfriend, or the perfect whatever, if my life just looks perfect, if I have kids, if I have this amount of money, if I look this certain way, it's all bullshit. And it all comes back to your energetic vibration and what you authentically want to create with your life, and then what the universe brings you, which is of the highest good for all involved. And who you be is what determines what you receive. And we can't get impatient or act like petulant children about this, because sometimes the transformation of being asks you to be in the deep, dark fucking void of the unknown. I'm taking a breath of that, because I am in that place right now in my romantic life. The deep, dark void of the unknown, so that you can trust your own certainty. When you're in a portal of trial by fire, you have to trust what's being transmuted within you and what's being alchemized, because it will be gold on the other side. And it doesn't mean that will be your last trial by fire. That's the nature of life. And so to worship at the altar of you, we have to look at, what is our relationship with ritual? I remember once upon a time when I was really young and in college, and there was a lot of drug use around, and I remember thinking about cocaine and being like, there's such a ritual to it. You have the razor, you have the cocaine, you have, usually you're dressed up, and there's this like big ego high. And so, and I remember thinking way the fuck back then, 25 years ago, like, oh, we've lost connection with ritual. And so we've created all of these other rituals: drug use, watching sports, getting all cozy with your book and your tea. And not that that's a bad thing. Not that any of it's bad. I mean, even the drug use, if it's done recreationally, look, I'm not here to judge. Sometimes some of my greatest expansions has happened with when I was young in experimental places like that. It's just if it becomes a problem, it's a whole other video. And of course, we're all like, oh, we can't advocate drug use. I'm not advocating drug use. I'm simply saying we all have a journey. Your journey is not going to look like everyone else's. And when you shame yourself for your journey, because I recently had some clients who were shaming themselves for their drug use when they were young, and I was like, why? That was part of who you are. It transforms you into who you are. There's this really amazing book called The Adolescent Psyche, and they talk about how, I forget the author right now, Edward Edinger maybe, but he has this whole part where he says teenagers are seeking ceremony. So, once upon a time, teenagers were taken into the woods and they were given hallucinogens so that they could move from being uh, a child into an adult, right? From a woman from a girl to a woman, from a boy to a man. We don't have that anymore. And so he said teenagers are now running around seeking that because we don't have it. We don't have initiation in that way. And so a lot of times what we're looking for is ceremony, is ritual, is the sacred. And it's devoid in our society. And then when we come into a spiritual journey, I was extremely disappointed when I was 19 and I downloaded enlightenment on the dance floor of a rave, and then I went into, some spiritual communities, and I was like, oh, everyone's full of shit. Everyone's speaking the language, but they don't feel it in their being. And you can feel that, but you'll question yourself. You'll be gaslit by it. Man, that's a whole other video. Point being is that we've lost the sacred. And sometimes the sacred is that crazy wild night you have that brings you to in like a deep level of awareness that you didn't have before. And we don't know how to connect that, which is again why you need a guide, why you need a spiritual teacher. We used to have spiritual teachers. You go out and you live and you're free and you have this journey, and then you have someone to help you tend the lessons, to actually thread the golden thread of what they're meant to create within you. And it all starts with you being able to be with you, to actually worship the altar of you, to trust in your journey, to trust that if you tend to and get to know you, you're going to have a more open heart and you're going to come from a more service-minded place, a more connection-based place. Because right now people are performative. Oh, I should be a nice, kind person. I should be showing up in a certain way. That's what the right quote unquote thing to do is. And then you'll want to avoid the shame of like, if you feel pissed, if you feel bitter, if you feel resentful, and you won't want to own that. So you're like, oh, you'll gaslight yourself. No, I don't feel that. I shouldn't feel that way. But you fucking do. You cannot should on how you feel. Because when you should on how you feel, you just perpetuate shame, you perpetuate disconnection, and then you're showing up from an inauthentic place. So all the ugly shit has to come forward. I'm resentful that I have to show up like this. I'm fucking pissed about it. I don't want to do this. I'm tired of people pleasing. I'm tired of making sure everybody's okay. I'm exhausted. I have inflammation. I have SAD. I have migraines. I'm not fucking myself or getting fucked. And so I feel miserable and pissed off because I've lost my joy and my arrows because I feel too scared to let that part of me out. These are very honest things that will come forward when you start to worship at the altar of you. Worshiping at the altar of you is not just like, oh, everything's beautiful and I'm just in this ceremony. It's like, fuck, I have to look at all the things that are ugly, all the ways that I have abandoned myself, sacrificed myself, projected onto other people, blamed other people, made society the problem instead of the fact that I'm not actually being honest with who I am, how I feel, and what the fuck I want to actually create in my life. You are meant to be dripping with the most golden, beautiful radiance. Right now, you're dripping with shame. And you could tell me you're not, but you are, because everyone is. And your ego will get triggered like no other, because there are parts of you you're going to have to look at that you don't want to look at, that your ego is deeply protecting you from and is being like, stay away from that lady because she's going to make you look at the truth. Trust me, I'm aware. I've had my best friends disappear for months and then come back and be like, I couldn't face my truth, so I couldn't be around you. I don't even have to say anything to them. Literally, just my presence brings it forward. I'm a genius at what I do, and that is your gold. That is not me putting myself on a pedestal. That is not me bragging. I have bragging rights. I've been through a lot of shit in my day. I don't look like it because I look like a bright, sparkly fairy. That's because I do my work, the real work, to transform. I'm not hiding, I'm not repressing, I'm not shut down, I'm not pretending, I'm not performative, I'm fucking real. And I will tell you the truth, and you will be pissed, and your ego will not like it. And you may run away, or you may be like, fuck, man, she's gonna set me free, let's do this. And that's what it means to worship at the altar of you. It's to get real honest so that you can actually pour golden radiant light into your being and allow yourself to expand into who you're meant to be. You're meant to be you, all parts of you, all parts of you. Our society really praises the good, the hard work. We have this view that unless I work hard, I'm not going to get abundance. It's actually not accurate. You're putting a lot of suffering on yourself. It's a whole other video. When you are worshiping something outside of you, when you do not know how to worship you and to thread the sacred into you being you, when you're worshiping something else and you're seeking saving in something else, you're perpetuating your own suffering and misery and disconnection and contraction and fear and scarcity. And my ultimate desire is to bring everyone back to the core essence of themselves so that you feel lit up with effervescent joy through your whole being. And like I said at the beginning, you're not going to feel effervescent joy unless you're able to go through all of the deep, dark, ugly parts. Because to feel effervescent joy, you have to be split open and feel safe to be wild and messy. Because that's what effervescent joy is. It's a little wild, it's a little messy. It's not going to look like you think it should. And I want you to feel fully expanded and free. So I have a little homework for you, which I don't usually give homework in these, but I think it's important. I want you to spend at least 5 minutes a day worshiping at the altar of you. So that may be a meditation. It may be a little journaling. It may be just sitting and bringing your hands to your body and pouring golden radiant light into your being. I want you to get honest about whatever comes up. Don't hide. Don't shut it down. Get honest. Get curious. Let your ego soften. Let the shoulds fall away. Allow yourself to bring the shame of what you quote unquote think is wrong to come forward. There's no wrong. Let it come forward. And we need to dedicate this to yourself. Practice being with you and worshiping you. Come into relationship with the word worship. What happens in your body when I say worship at the altar of you? Be honest about that. What does the sacred mean to you? What does it mean to bring the sacred into your life? What is your relationship with that word? What is your relationship with worship? What is your relationship with ritual? Integrate those into your being. And then what is your relationship with your wild, fearless, like messiness? Allow those to all come into consciousness and then start to integrate them. And spend your days remembering that you are meant to be emanating golden radiant light into this world, to come from your heart in your deepest, most purest service. And you cannot do that when you are worshiping something else outside of you. Worship you, give from your whole heart the most beautiful service. If you want to go deep into this, there are 2 ways to work with me right now. The first one is the Composer. It's an 8-week intimate high touch container. So you'll have weekly live calls, 2-hour live calls with me and my co-coach Kelly. We will have 4 days a week on Telegram where you get processing so we can keep you accountable to tending the parts of you that need to be tended to excavating the things that need to be excavated, to shifting at a cellular level. The Composer is all about becoming the composer of your life. This is beyond manifestation. It's truly creating the most beautiful symphony in your life. It is rewiring at a DNA and a cellular level, embodying pleasure and leadership, and becoming the composer in your life using the Yarrow K way, which is a unique system of psychology, spirituality, somatics, and energetics designed to set you free. This shifts you at a nervous system level, a DNA level, a cellular level. Yes, I know you've done all the other things, acupuncture, meditation, breath work, plant medicine journeys, all the energetics courses, all the personal development. This is not about you fixing yourself. This is about you actually coming into connection with your purest essence. I am so excited for the composer. It is literally over 20 years of research, education, experience put into one place to actually help you become the composer of your life in a very real, raw, connected way. So you're filled with pleasure and joy, that effervescent joy. The second way is the portal. This is my 6-month or 12-month mentorship program. We have monthly themes. October's theme is romanticizing you, which is perfectly aligned with this video. We're going to do a course on shame, because when you avoid your shame, you avoid yourself. We're also going to look more deeply at how you start to worship at the altar of you. We're going to dive deep into this and starting to create the greatest love letter to yourself in your life so that you can give that love out to the world. The portal is a beautiful place to land for 6 or 12 months. You have such a powerful community. We all hold each other to each other's divinity. I am in Telegram giving you riffs Monday through Friday. You have a drop the questions channel so the riffs can be personalized to you. You have a glimmers and a celebration channel where everyone connects. We have 3 live calls a month, one of them being a hot seat mentorship call where you can come and I will do individual processing with you. And it is just such a powerful community and it is a low investment. 333 per month. It is packed with so much beauty, connection, information, knowledge, education. You get all of my programs that have ever existed since the dawn of time, and you're learning a new way of being. We are conditioned for scarcity, contraction, and survival. I want to rewire you to connection, joy, abundance, and pleasure, and you need to be held in that. You can't do it alone. One of my clients just wrote that. You can't rewire a nervous system like this alone. Nervous system level like this alone because you need a mirror and you need someone to hold you to your divinity. And that is what I am a genius at doing. So if you're interested in either of those, DM me on Instagram, send me an email, maybe get in touch with Aslan. Just kidding. And I will leave you with this. Spend some time today worshiping at the altar of you.